Hello everybody, welcome back. I know I haven't made a video in a very, very long time. I know, I'm so sorry. I just sort of had a sort of a writer's block or a editor's block, I guess. I just didn't know what I wanted to make videos on anymore. I was getting kind of tired of the travel stuff, especially with the pandemic going on too. There's not anywhere to travel, but anyways, I thought I'd take this channel to a different direction. And I wanted to talk about like social and geopolitical issues. Still, sort of try to keep it, I guess, tied to travel, but just more on like issues and topics relating to travel, but in more of a like social or geopolitical sense, if that makes sense. Sorry, and I just want to make a quick disclaimer that these are just my opinions and my observations. I will try to put some data into these videos. But again, these are just going to be mostly just my opinions and observations, just because this is the type of stuff that I think about at night before I go to bed. So I thought, why not just make videos about it, right? And for today's topic, I wanted to talk about how Spanish fluency tends to decrease after each generation, after the initial immigration to the United States. And I wanted to focus on, just for the sake of this video and to make it easier to understand the concept, I will be just focusing on like Mexican immigration into the United States. And that doesn't necessarily mean that this only pertains to Mexican immigrants. This can also be somewhat relevant to other immigrants in other parts of the world speaking different languages. But just for the sake of this video, I just will stick to Mexican immigration to the United States, just because I also believe that this is a very, very unique topic. And the reason for this video is because growing up, I remember my parents who speak Spanish complaining about other kids and other parents, and sometimes even criticizing them for either not teaching their kids to speak Spanish properly, and they would criticize the kids for not speaking Spanish properly. And I just thought, like, at first I did agree with them, but after traveling a bit and growing up a bit, I realized now that that was kind of wrong and that shouldn't happen, because I mean, it's only natural that I believe now that fluency does it changes. Like, you can't expect someone to speak fluent Spanish when they don't live in a country that only speaks Spanish. That's just not attainable. And a little bit about just my experience and thoughts. I am a first generation Mexican American, so I have some sort of insight into what I'm talking about today. And my parents, they would criticize my Spanish sometimes, but yet they never really took the time to teach me Spanish. They never really sat down to teach me how to write or read. I just sort of had to do that on my own. And lastly, I also think this is a very, very unique topic, just because this is not really seen in other parts of the world. I've noticed that a lot of times when Mexicans immigrate to the United States, they usually don't tend to learn English. They will spend 30, 40 years and just not learn English, versus in other parts of the world where I've noticed that when people immigrate to another country, they do tend to learn the language of that country. And it's not just English speaking countries, it's also German speaking countries, French speaking countries, that I've noticed this in, where the immigrants will learn the language. So now we could finally jump into the topic. So firstly, language fluency does decrease with each generation after immigration. So with this being said, parents will have 100% fluency, simply because they were born in a country that speaks Spanish, and so they grew up speaking Spanish, and they were just surrounded by it, right? While first generation kids will not have 100% fluency in Spanish, and they will also speak a different type of Spanish as well, which is also kind of unique. And when those first generation kids begin to have kids of their own, they will have, second generation kids, and they will have even less fluency than their parents did. And so like the cycle just continues until either the language is lost, or maybe some parents do something about it and put their kids into a Spanish class, and force their kids to learn the language, right? And just so y'all don't think I'm just talking out my ass, I also want to also illustrate some of the reasons why the fluency decreases among the first generation kids. Quite usually, kids, born in America from, Spanish speaking parents, they just spend more time outside learning and practicing another language, which is English. The kids, spend more time at school than they do at home. And even when they are home, they will be, watching TV in English. They will be, doing their homework in English. Now with the internet, they'll be, on Facebook or on, whatever, playing whatever games, all in English. The majority of their time is spent in English, basically. And so that's why a lot of first generation kids will say that they think in English, because, the majority of their time is spent in English. And most of the time that they, ever really use Spanish is when, they're talking to their parents or maybe a family member. And so from that, naturally, it's quite obvious that you would, if you were a first generation kid, you would speak more English than Spanish. And so quite naturally, you would learn English better than Spanish, and you'd be more proficient in English than you would be Spanish. And Spanish fluency also decreases within the second generation, but for different reasons. Because the first one being that their parents, who are first generation kids, already speak more English than they do Spanish throughout their day. So when they have kids, they will most likely, obviously depending on certain circumstances and situations, the first generation parents will be teaching their kids English more than likely. They might sprinkle in some Spanish in there, but it's just more comfortable for the parents to teach them English, because that's what they're already doing. Unless they make the conscious effort to only speak Spanish, but people are lazy. People aren't going to do that. And there's also a different factor as well, because sometimes like the first generation parents, maybe one of them speaks Spanish and the other one, is from a whole different, different ethnicity. Maybe, they're, it's one Mexican and one white person. Obviously, the Mexican will know the Spanish. But even then, there's this, the kids then, are more likely to not even speak Spanish in the house. And other depending factors also just include the level of the first generation parents and their effort to teach their kids Spanish, and if both parents are Spanish speakers, and also their level of Spanish, and you quite usually, like that saying goes, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So the parent with like the least fluency in Spanish, that's the max level that their kids can hope to achieve, but probably won't achieve that. And moving on, there's something else that's also very, very interesting. The fluency proficiencies within the first generation siblings also changes as well. Quite usually, the oldest sibling will have the highest fluency, while the youngest sibling will have the worst fluency. And there's quite a few reasons for this. Quite usually, when the oldest sibling is born, they don't usually learn English until 5 years old, or when they enter school at kindergarten. And so, their first, 5 years are spent only in Spanish, because that's all their parents know. And they don't learn English until later on. While, the youngest siblings, say, there's, three of them, right? Usually the youngest sibling has like the least amount of exposure to Spanish, and usually learns English from their older siblings before the age of 5. So before they even enter school, the youngest sibling already knows some English, while the oldest sibling quite often enters school without any English. I've seen that happen a lot. And so just quickly conclude the video real quick. Just naturally, fluency decreases with each generation after the initial immigration. It's natural, there's nothing really you could do about it unless you make the conscious effort to teach your kids your native language, which most times doesn't happen. And yeah, the majority of the time, when immigrant parents complain about kids not speaking Spanish properly, they're doing it unjustly. Maybe they just don't know the process behind it, or the reasons behind it, but it's not right. And I just want to quickly disclaim here that we all have different experiences. Maybe your parents made the effort to teach you Spanish. Maybe that your parents didn't make any effort to teach you Spanish. And lastly, just something to think about, why is it that, Mexican immigrants tend to not learn English, while immigrants in other countries do tend to learn the language of that country that they're moving to. Just something to think about. I have my own thoughts and opinions on that, but if you guys, wanted to maybe comment down below your thoughts and opinions on that. And with that being said, that will conclude the video, y'all. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching. And I hope to, make more videos about these type of topics, because again, this is, what I think about at night before I go to bed, and so this is what I enjoy thinking about. So expect more videos like these soon. Alright guys, bye.